Proud to serve northeastern and central Pennsylvania. This is WNEP TV 16, the news station. Now, Nolan Johannes, Karen Harch, Jack Ruland in Skycam 16, meteorologist Tom Clark with his backyard forecast, and Tim Carlson Sports. This is Newswatch 16.
Good evening, I'm Karen Harch. Nolan Johannes has the night off. Fire is burning right now in Lower Luzerne County. Newswatch 16's Valerie Devine is live in Skycam 16 over Freeland. Valerie, what's going on?
Well, Karen, we know very little right now, but what I can tell you is that we are circling above the 600 block of Center Street in Freeland. That runs right through the main drag. As you can see, it's a two-story building that is on fire. At first, we thought it was a home. Now, looking at some of the windows in the lower part of the building, it looks as though it may be a store. It's located between a food mart in town and a bank. It looks as though at least a dozen fire trucks in the area are battling the blaze. Right now, it looks as though they're trying to reach the fire through the roof. As you can see, some firefighters are on top of the food mart using their ladders and trying to reach the roof. And from here, it looks as though that's basically all we know. We do have reports on injuries. From what we are told, there don't appear to be any injuries right now, Karen.
Thank you, Valerie. All too often, we tell you about companies moving out of our area, but tonight we have the opposite story. Wise Foods, as in potato chips, is putting in a major popcorn plant in Berwick. As Newswatch 16's Dan Fiorucci says, the expansion and new jobs are a big plus for a company that has been anything but small potatoes.
It's already the biggest snack food plant in the world. Each year, this Wise facility turns more than 200 million pounds of potatoes into 50 million pounds of chips. Now this place is about to get even bigger. Over the past few months, more than $2.5 million worth of popcorn and cheese doodle making machinery has been moved into a new building here. And soon, most of the Wise popcorn sold in America will come from this plant.
On the East Coast, any from here to Ohio, from here to Florida, any popcorn will come out of Berwick.
The new popcorn facility will mean 90 new jobs for Berwick. Good news in an area that was hit hard last December when a defense contractor went bankrupt, leaving 200 people out of work.
I see many Polaron workers here.
One of those unemployed workers was Barbara Krevling, who worked quality assurance at Polaron and now does the same thing here.
But fortunately, I did get the same type of work I was doing before, and I'm very, very fortunate.
The Wise plant is still accepting job applications for its new popcorn plant and expects to be at full production in less than 2 weeks. Dan Fiorucci, Newswatch 16, Berwick.
After an all-day search today in Lower Luzerne County, a missing Hazel Township man has been found. Skycam 16 helped in the search for 30-year-old Eugene Cormonic. He went out to pick blueberries yesterday in the Foster Township area. He never went home last night. Today, search crews found the man's vehicle, and they combed the wooded area for Cormonic. Newswatch 16's Bob Costantini was there when the missing man was found.
A nurse checks over 30-year-old Eugene Cormonic. He's back home 24 hours after he left to pick berries in nearby woods. The Hazel Township man, described as usually shying away from people, was found late this afternoon walking along a nearby road.
I'm okay, actually. Tired. What were you doing out there all night? What happened? I walked and I walked around a little while, you know, and I should have went up to the house when I seen the light was on.
Eugene Cormonic's disappearance prompted a land, air, and water search of old strip mine areas near his home. Searchers found his abandoned car this morning. He had disappeared before, but always came home within a few hours.
Yes, he probably didn't have nothing, didn't he? Yes, talk to him, will you?
Oh,
1:30.
Well,
Yesterday afternoon, 1:30.
I
Good. It's good to be home, I think.
Yeah.
Eugene's parents say from now on his trips into the woods will be planned more carefully. There were about 100 people involved in the search. The Cormonics are very grateful for the efforts to find Eugene. They were confident all along he would be found alive. A massive search was planned for tomorrow if he had not been found. But tonight, the 30-year-old Luzerne County man is back with his family and reportedly in good health in spite of his overnight and day-long ordeal in the woods. Karen?
Officials in Wilkes-Barre now know what caused a stinky mess on Kidder Street this morning. A mysterious fluid leaked out of a garbage truck, leaving a quarter-mile stretch of the roadway slippery and smelly. It turns out the liquid was a bad batch of orange juice on the way to the dump. Road crews used sand and a street sweeper to clean up that spill in Wilkes-Barre. When Newswatch 16 continues, Action 16 takes charge and clears up a credit card billing mistake for a Schuylkill County viewer.
Hey, Annie! Going fishing? Oh, no. My nose was so sore.
Oh, honey, it's your allergy. Let's try puffs. Grandma says they're softer.
But I've used the other kind my whole life.
Puffs feel softer to me.
They are softer.
Puffs are puffed to be softer.
Hey, wait for me!
Yeah, if you cry, you'll scare the fish away.
I'm not gonna cry.
Puffs, the softer way to blow.
A Schuylkill County viewer credits Action 16 for helping to clear up a credit card billing mistake. He says before Jerry Gartenberg took charge of the situation, he found himself stuck with charges he already paid. Jerry's live now in his office to explain. Jerry?
Well, let me ask you something. How would you feel if you got a $376 MasterCard bill in the mail and you knew you had taken care of that bill months earlier?
I got angry right away. Charles Reed of Ashland did not like getting a MasterCard bill in February for a video cassette recorder he paid off in October. So the next month he sent proof of the earlier payment to the bank that churned out the charges. The only problem, the same charges showed up on his next month's MasterCard statement. And this time the bank tacked on interest. Reed was not about to pay for the VCR again. Still, he had other worries.
I didn't want my credit standing ruined for one thing, showing, non-payment of bills and late charges and so forth. Plus, there was the fear that there might have been fraud in there, somebody using my number illegally.
And because its record showed an unpaid bill, the bank cut his $1,000 credit line down to a little more than $600.
I was very angry with them because it wasn't my money that was tying up my card. It was some error somewhere, and it was $400 of mine that I could not use.
The bank had a right to tie up his credit line while investigating for possible fraud, but it found no fraud, just a billing error, as Charles Reed suspected. After Action 16's letter, the bank upped his credit line and wiped out the incorrect charges. Now remember, you do not have to pay the credit card charges you're disputing as long as you notify the creditor in writing no more than 60 days after you spot a billing problem. Now, if the creditor finds a billing problem, it has to wipe out those incorrect charges. If it finds the bill's correct, you have to be told why, and you also have to be told what you owe. Now, you owe it to yourself to contact me, Jerry Gartenberg, if you need help with any kind of consumer problem you cannot solve on your own. The address to write to, you see it right there. Action 16, Box 16, Avoca, Pennsylvania, zip 18641. Karen.
Thanks, Jerry. A favorite beach will reopen for the weekend, and rock fans get an ear and eye full in Philly. These are some of the stories in tonight's Pennsylvania in a minute. The beach at Goldsboro State Park will reopen to swimmers tomorrow. Park rangers today say they've hired enough lifeguards to protect the swimmers. PennDOT will be adding 2 more lanes to Route 6 in Lackawanna County. The $1.3 million project will begin in a few weeks on a section of the road above the Viewmont Mall. Starting salaries for public school teachers across the country went up more than 7% last year to nearly $18,000. Here in Pennsylvania, the American Federation of Teachers says we have the 16th highest paid teachers in the nation. And rock and roll fans in Philadelphia invaded Vet Stadium last night for the opening of David Bowie's American Glass Spider Tour. The 2.5-hour concert was flashy with a huge light show. And that's Pennsylvania in a minute. Next, meteorologist Brian Orzel is in for Tom Clark. Looking ahead to another good weekend.
Well, it depends on what your definition of good is. I know a lot of gardeners and farmers would like to see some rain. I'll return to the backyard to tell you when we do have a chance of seeing this rain this weekend on the Weather Watch. You're watching Newswatch 16 on WNEP TV, and we're proud to serve Blakesley and all of Monroe County.
Owners of apartment buildings and office complexes should let Rexperience work for them. Rex Plumbing and Heating is America's #1 installer of Weil-McLean gas boilers. Weil-McLean gas boilers are 87% energy efficient. Installing a gas boiler from Weil-McLean in each unit eliminates the owner's heating bill. It allows each tenant to control his own energy costs. Happy tenants make for happy owners. Let Rexperience work for you. Call Rex Plumbing and Heating in Kingston today.
What's wrong, Dad?
Well, it's running rough.
Oh, a dirty engine?
No, son. My gas cleans.
Sure. Clean injectors. Don't they all? Where's the other? What's important?
My car.
Hey, how come your gas doesn't clean this?
My valve.
Oh, Dad.
Piston.
Why don't you use Atlantic gasoline, Dad? Mom does. Mid-Atlantic is why Mom's car runs so good. I'll show you.
No, not your mother's car.
Atlantic.
Honey!
No other gas cleans like this.
After 8 years and more than $2 million, the Veterans Administration Medical Center in Plains Township has a new nuclear medicine wing. The wing is now open for business, and today it was officially dedicated. It has the latest technology, including computers, to help with all kinds of medical studies. Certain heart tests will now be done at the VA hospital, so those who need that care no longer have to travel to New York City to get that treatment. Modern technology, and I know Brian uses a lot of modern equipment to give us the weather watch.
Well, Karen, you don't need modern technology to tell that there's a change of air mass going on in the backyard. The sky is returning to that deep blue color as the humidity is dropping in the backyard. I think we're going to see a nice weekend. I'll return to talk about that in just a moment. First, let's get right to the weather watchers. Starting out in Williamsport, where Jason Neidig tells me 84 and sunny at his place. Joseph Beckwith in Towanda reports in with 76 degrees, partly sunny up there. And Catherine Straley in Canadensis says 78 degrees, sunny and nice in the Poconos. Coming up next is a pretty view of some marigolds blooming down in Taylor. Temperature now in the backyard is 78 degrees. Relative humidity is starting to drop, 56%. Winds are out of the northwest at 10, and the barometer 30 inches even and falling. High temperature today was 82, 64 the overnight low, 98 the record back in 1917. And on Skywatch 16 Doppler radar, there is no precipitation showing up over Pennsylvania. There are some thunderstorms to the south of Washington, D.C., which are too distant to be seen by our radar. We can see them, though, on the satellite image from this afternoon. Big thunderstorms to the south of Washington. Severe thunderstorm watch in effect for eastern Virginia along a cold front that moved through us last night. In the wake of this front, some cooler, drier air is filtering down from eastern Canada. Tomorrow is just going to be plain gorgeous with sunshine and low humidities. All the hot, humid air is going to get pushed back to our south and west for the time being anyhow. And here's the view of the rest of the nation. Notice that H over eastern Canada. That represents the center of a cool, clean Canadian air mass. This high is going to build right over us tomorrow, and I think it'll control our weather at least part of Sunday. The hot air is going to try and move back in, though, as we move into the latter part of the weekend and next week. 106 degrees last hour at Pierce, South Dakota. Just a terrible heat wave occurring over the Plain States. Many areas today is the 6th consecutive day of 100-degree-plus heat, but I think they will get a break in the heat as we move into the latter part of the weekend. Forecast for tonight, it's going to be pleasant. Temperatures will drop off rather nicely, and it will be a nice night for sleeping. Mainly clear over the northern portions of our viewing area. 52 at Troy. It could drop to near 50 in some of the normally colder areas. South of that blue dash line, there will be some lingering clouds, tending to keep temperatures up in the low 60s. Sunrise time then for tomorrow morning, which also happens to be the first day of August 1987, will be 5:58, and sundown 8:21 in the evening. Complete weather watch forecast: cooler tonight, clear to partly cloudy skies, low 57. Sunshine all day tomorrow, azure blue sky, just a terrific day to get out, 77 for the high. Sunshine Sunday morning, clouds will increase though in the afternoon. I could see a shower later on Sunday, high 79. Chance of a shower as the warm air tries to move in Monday, 83 degrees, and we could be in for a hot spell Tuesday and Wednesday of next week. And Special Weather Watch 16 birthday greetings go out to Karen Harch. Karen, look at it this way. You're not 1 year older, but you're 1 year better.
Oh, thanks. I needed that, Brian.
See you at 11.
Coming up, we'll have an update on that fire in Freeland, plus Tim Carlson with Northeast Baseball back in court today trying to get a AAA baseball team. And the Phillies out at Wrigley in Chicago.
When his stomach clogs, Davy Johnson reaches for serious medicine. Rolaids consumes all the acid required to bring millions 100% relief. And relief is needed on days like these.
I should have gone into golf.
Get serious relief. Get Rolaids.
Saturday, August 1st through the 8th, Foots Building Centers is celebrating their grand opening in Broadheadsville. Come on in and load up on specials like
35% off all Anderson windows in stock.
latex exterior redwood stain, only $2.99 a gallon.
Up to 15% off Makita power tools.
2x4 7-foot studs, only 99 cents.
Plus, register to win this new 1987 pickup truck.
Don't miss our grand opening.
Helping you build it better. Foots Building Centers.
Now let's get an update on that fire burning in Freeland. Newswatch 16's Valerie Devine is live in Skycam. Valerie?
Well, Karen, from our view, it looks as though firefighters may be getting this fire here in Freeland under control. We now know that the building that's burning in the 600 block of Center Street may contain a laundromat, a pinball arcade, and some apartments. Now, we're not sure if those apartments are occupied or not. Firefighters are still trying to reach the fire through the roof of the building, and they're still using the food mart next door to get to it. If it appears to you as though there is more smoke now than when we first showed you the fire, it may be because firefighters have finally vented the roof. And we are told that there appears to be no injuries from this fire. One thing's for sure, Karen, it may be a long day for some of these firefighters. They were out all day long trying to find that missing man from Hazel Township.
That's true. We'll have more on that tonight on the update. And now on to sports and baseball.
Yeah, they're playing a little afternoon game out there at Wrigley Field in Chicago. I'll tell you what, it's a great place to get a suntan, no doubt about it. Out of the bleacher bums, right? The Phil's out at Wrigley Field in Chicago this afternoon. Kevin Gross winless in 2 starts this year against the Cubs, going for the Phils, who started the day in 4th place, a half game in front of Chicago. And the Cubs touched Kevin Gross up for something in the 2nd inning. Keith Moreland with a solo homer, his 19th, to make it 1-0. Then in the 3rd, the Cubs make it 2-0. Jerry Mumphrey with a little dunk job. It scores Leon Durham. But the Phils came back in the 5th. That's Rick Shue right there with the base hit. It'll score pitcher Kevin Gross and Juan Samuel. And it's 2-2. Look at that shot there by Sammy on Jim Sundberg, and he scores. In the bottom of the 5th, though, the Cubs docked the long ball. Andre Dawson with a homer into the street to make it 3-2. Then the next batter, Jerry Mumphrey, goodbye. That was it for Gross to make it 4-2 Cubs. But the Phils got those runs back right here on a gift. Look at this. Whoop. Keith Moreland lets it go through to make it 4-4 in the 6th. And right now it's 4-4 in the 7th. Northeastern Baseball, the local group which currently owns the Williamsport Bills baseball team, made another bid today to secure ownership of a AAA International League franchise. Oral arguments were heard in a federal appeals court in Boston regarding the non-sale of that AAA franchise by Jordan Koberts of Old Orchard Beach, Maine. Now, Koberts was supposed to sell the franchise to Northeastern Baseball last September, but then he stopped the deal, saying he wasn't receiving the AA team owned by Northeastern Baseball as promised. Now, Northeastern Baseball denied the AA team was part of the deal, but in February, a federal court judge in Portland, Maine, ruled Koberts was right and didn't have to sell the team. Now, since then, Northeastern Baseball has appealed that ruling, and as I said, argued in a Boston appellate court today. Well, we're told a 3-judge panel will make a decision by October. A favorable ruling for Northeastern Baseball would open the door for a Phillies AAA team to play in the Wilkes-Barre-Scranton area, possibly next year. We'll have more on this tonight. All right, Mike Tyson and Tony Tucker may not fight tomorrow night for the International Boxing Federation heavyweight title. The two weighed in today at 221 pounds each, but while that was going on, Tucker's co-manager was granted a temporary injunction blocking the fight scheduled for tomorrow night. Tucker's co-manager, Dennis Rappaport, says he's entitled to money from 3 previous Tucker fights. By the way, the fight, if it's held, will be shortened from 15 to 12 rounds, and if Tyson wins, and he should, he will hold the WBA, WBC, and IBF heavyweight titles. And Steve Carlton, you know, lefty, used to pitch for the Phillies and was pitching for Cleveland this year. He got shipped off by Cleveland to Minnesota. That's a good move for lefty because in the twilight of his career, he gets now to pitch with a contender since the Twins are in first place in the American League West.
Not bad
Good
for him,
move.
then.
See you tonight.
Okay, thanks, Tim. When Newswatch 16 continues, we'll show you a new high-tech way to help police and firefighters protect us from the hazardous chemicals.
Wise Markets knows that even in our advanced civilization, choosing a melon is still something of a primitive ritual. But not anymore, because Wise Markets has new Chiquita melons. They're Always sweet and always delicious. Just look for the Chiquita label. It's how you know you've got a good one. And a good store. Wise Markets.
What's hotter than a hot potato?
Cool twist.
Hot sponge leave you cold?
Cool off with a corkscrew.
Now there's new salad bar pasta. With our sensational shapes and seasoning mix, you create fresh salad.
With the coolness of buttermilk.
The tang of Italian.
The flavor of cucumber.
New salad bar pasta. 5 cool sensations from Muller.
They make hot stuff
not so hot.
Finally tonight, a new computer system which helps to identify chemicals more quickly and accurately had its first test this afternoon. A worker was slightly overcome by a cleaning chemical at Penn State's Hazleton campus. He's okay tonight, but the chemical was quickly identified using a new computer tie with a national information system. Newswatch 16's Mark Davis reports Luzerne County is one of the first in the state to be part of the Chemtrek computer system.
The next time we hear about a chemical situation like the Nanticoke evacuation in March, authorities are likely to have more answers than questions when it comes to dealing with chemicals. Luzerne County Emergency Management Agency has modified its personal computer to be able to tie into a national computer system of emergency chemical information called Chemtrek. Kevin O'Brien helped put the program together and compares it to the old way of checking the chemical in a general reference book.
It doesn't pertain, say, to that exact chemical. Okay, we're here, we're getting a report on the exact chemical. As you can see, we're getting 3 pages of printout.
Executive Director Jim Syracuse says many times decisions are made in a chemical situation by what you don't know. The computer should help that.
But in this case, we're looking at actually 3 pages of specific information on that chemical. I think it's going to be very valuable as far as assessing the situation.
The next step for Luzerne County is combining the computer system with a radio system. County officials are currently looking at a mini computer system for use in the field. That way the information could be transmitted over the radio waves and then printed out at a mini computer right at the scene of a chemical spill. They tell me that's about a year off. Mark Davis, Newswatch 16 at the Luzerne County Courthouse.
And that's Newswatch 16 for this Friday. Be sure to join us tonight on Newswatch 16 Update at 11 when Dr. Steve Greenberg will try to straighten out the confusion over whether skin cancer is really dangerous. World News Tonight is next with the latest on President Reagan's skin cancer surgery. For the team, including Nolan and Tom, who have the night off, thanks for joining us. Enjoy your evening.